everybody, it's your friendly neighborhood saxophone Alex here. If you're new here, check out my Get to Know Me video. Over the years, I have found myself looking back on some experiences I've had and noticing that there's some things that people like to think are true, but I think are myths. Today I'm going to be talking about 4 saxophone myths. Number 1. The Biscuit hinders the saxophonist. As most of you saxophonists may know, we have a mechanism on our saxophone called the Biscuit. I've had a lot of teachers tell me when I was starting out playing the saxophone that the Biscuit is an optional B-flat fingering that I should use sparingly, that this is not something that I should use as my primary way of playing the B-flat key. The more teachers I studied with, the more they would tell me that the Biscuit wasn't a fingering that I should have used. The options that they would always give me is the side B flat, so the A with the low knuckle key. In my experience playing the Biscuit, I think I enjoy playing the Biscuit more than I play the side B flat. I don't think it hinders it. I think if you practice playing even notes using the Biscuit, then there shouldn't be any problem. It's the same effort. And if you play giant steps at 30-60 BPM, I don't think you're going to notice a difference between a B-flat Biscuit or a side B-flat. The only thing that I would suggest is a possible better option than the Biscuit being the side B-flat is intonation. Say you have a long note on the high B-flat or a middle B-flat. I believe on my saxophone, and this may be different for other saxophonists and saxophones, that my side B-flat is more in tune than my Biscuit B-flat. So that, I will say, is, in my case, true. That it is better to use the side B-flat than it is to use a Biscuit B-flat. Number 2. Tenor saxophone players get more gigs than alto players. This hits hard with me. Being in New York City, again, is the place to be for saxophonists in terms of jazz. And for me, I've had a lot of gigs on alto. A lot of people have called me up for saxophone gigs and have loved having me as an alto player along with their band. In fact, some colleagues of mine have noticed that I've been getting more gigs than them, and they're tenor players, and they've been asking me, like, what do you think? Do you think that it's because of your tone, how well you blend with the band? And I honestly say, well, maybe it's just a matter of luckiness that I got the gig just because I was at the right place at the right time. Not because I'm an alto or a tenor player, particularly. In fact, some people ask for a saxophone not knowing what they want. They probably expect a tenor, they get an alto player, and they end up liking it either way. Or they may not even notice the difference. They may not even know that a tenor is a tenor and an alto is an alto. They probably think my alto's a tenor. I recently joined this band called Revolu. All the links to their social media is down below. The drummer hired me to be a part of the band, and I didn't specify whether I was an alto or a tenor player. So when I joined the band, the first thing that happened was they gave me the parts for the music, and it was tenor saxophone. So the first rehearsal didn't really go as well as I thought it would, but then they transposed the parts for alto. The leader of the band asked if I had a tenor saxophone, and I didn't have it at the time. But I would be getting one in the coming weeks, so I told them to hold off until then so that we could switch over to the tenor. They actually preferred my alto sound to the tenor sound. And it's pretty interesting because the trumpet player actually preferred it as well. So it's pretty interesting. My experiences as an alto player getting gigs in New York have gone a lot better than some colleagues of mine who are tenor players. Number 3. Your mouthpiece makes you a better player. Where to begin? On the one hand, I recently got a new mouthpiece, which I have had a new video, check it out. On the other hand, in my total history of being a saxophone player, I've only had 4. And that's not a lot compared to those saxophonists who have a table full of 23, 24, 50 mouthpieces that they've been working on since they were 15. So, I'm not much of a gear guy to begin with, but teachers have told me that different mouthpieces offer different types of things.
Tone, clarity, intonation, range, you name it.
But I'm not a person who really cares about the mouthpiece per se. I think that if I work hard enough, any mouthpiece will serve me well. And up until this past couple of months, the new mouthpiece that I had served its purpose of clarity, intonation, and range, which is the three most important things about a mouthpiece. I think, and a lot of my teachers have said this before, that it's 90% you, 10% mouthpiece. The mouthpiece just offers few little details. It's really up to you to practice and make sure that you can be a great complement with the mouthpiece, vice versa. Number 4. Winning competitions means you're a better player. This one's a little bit open-ended. It's a myth that I think a lot of people will relate to, and we'll get right to it. I think this will be relatable to a lot of musicians out there, and this doesn't necessarily have to do with just saxophonists. There's a lot of factors into competitions, into being a good musician or being a quote-unquote better musician. I don't necessarily think that having those accolades mean that you're a better player. It just means that you had the opportunity to compete against other likewise musicians who wanted that same accolade, and you just happened to get it. I have had a lot of accolades in my life. I was nominated for a Grammy. I've won national competitions as a high schooler and as a professional musician. I won 3rd place in an international musician a couple months ago. But that doesn't make me a better player than the person who's shedding right now as I speak in Brooklyn, who can probably play circles around me. There's this whole thing in football or soccer that Messi is the best player in the world, but I remember in a really bootlegged interview of Ronaldinho, who was another Brazilian superstar, said that Messi may be the best commercial soccer player, but I know somewhere in the favelas of Rio that there's someone out there who can play circles around Messi. And that's the thing. Exposure versus someone who you know publicly. There's a lot of biases too in terms of competitions, you know? There's things like gender inequality, racial inequality, and even classist inequality that differentiate what it means to be a better player. For example, me having a Mark 6, for a lot of people, they might think that I'm a better player for having that horn. That's not true at all. No. Myth. I'm not a better player because I have a great horn. I'm a better player because I practice and practice and practice. And I'm willing to fail. And there are people who are so better than me. 10 times, 100 times better than me. Who have a cheap Yamaha horn. It's not about that. And this is what I'm talking about in terms of competitions. I've won so many competitions, but that doesn't make me a better player. I was privileged enough to have entered in these competitions. So, having won competitions does not make you a better player. For those of you who are just starting out as musicians, as professional musicians, don't be discouraged when somebody else says they won a competition and it makes you feel bad. It makes you feel like they're better than you. No. Your time will come. Just keep on playing your music. Stay true to who you are, and things will happen for you. I will leave you with this. I will reference my friend from Berkeley, Kyle Zimmerman. He would always say to me, "You do you." And with that, you do you. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll be making a part 2 of saxophone myths and of musician myths too. If you want me to do that, leave a comment down below and let me know which myths you want me to talk about next time. Thank you for watching the video, and as always, don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook for more standards, ballads, and beats. Stay saxy. Today I'm going to be talking about 4 sax...
So rude.
Ladle. For those of you who are SpongeBob fans. If you're a SpongeBob fan, you would know.
Sorry. Sorry.